I drew a building. This is a square in Aix-en-Provence in France. And I'm going to use my transparent glazes. I'm going to build this painting slowly. And I'm going to use a little bit of the yellow and the red for a glaze in this background building. And you notice I'm using the largest brush that I possibly can to do this. There's no sense in laboring over doing a large space like that with a small brush. I could probably use a little smaller brush here, but I'm not going to do that because I really want to keep this with as few brush strokes as possible. Actually, I could paint right through that because the color is going to be a bit darker there. Also, I'm going to put some of this glaze, because I will be glazing more under these umbrellas. I'm going to still work on that wash, but I'm putting a bluer color for shadow, but I'm going to cover this entire area. Now remember, I'm working with my watered down pigments, and because there is a shadow over this building created by another building somewhere close by, I'm going to put that shadow in. See, I'm working with my largest shapes that I can as I proceed here. Now there's some sunlight on this ground in here and some shadows creeping in from trees and other things. So I'm going to just lay in those shadows right now. Usually when I'm painting buildings in France or Italy or Europe, anywhere, because they're very old, I use more opaque colors, but I'm trying to stick with my triad of transparent colors in this painting, and also with my watered down wash colors, so that I get a nice glow to the buildings. The beauty of a flat brush, being able to do a rectangle shape in one stroke. I've already started doing the shutters on that distant building, and here we go with the bright orange shutters on this building and on these windows. I need to clean it up a bit. In doing the windows, it's always safe to wet it first. We're still working on the largest shapes we can until we can't anymore, until we get to the detail. Wet it, drop a little color in because it's darker in the inset of the window. These walls are rather thick and they're set back. And then that's a cool color. Now I'm going to add just a bit of warm color in there for interest. Keep your all your shapes colorful and all your shadows colorful. And as you can see, the shadow that I cast across the building, you can see the pink and the yellow and the blue in the shadow, as well as the color of the shadow. So I've just made some shadows, and the shadows in the windows are purple. Never fear using purple in your shadows. It really is a beautiful color, and I mix my own with opera and cobalt blue hue. And if I want to deepen the windows, I'll put a little purple in here to send them into the distance, or into the background a bit. And that makes them look like they're really set down deep in the building, which they are. These buildings have very thick walls. And to lighten it up a bit, I'll add just a little bit of the orange that is in the rest of the painting, just to give it a little life and some reflected light. And when I do this, there's quite a bit of water on my brush too. And I don't rub that. I let the water do the work. Shadow, a bit more purple, just because I think it adds a nice light, a nice color to the painting. And I go over these. Oops, and I'm not wetting that area first because I want those awnings to be a bit lighter. I'm going to put the tree in that is sitting over here, but casting its leaves in front of the buildings. And so I've done all the detail in the buildings that I need to do, and then now I will just put the tree leaves in. I'm using a Dick Blick brush called a long pointed round. It is also similar to Cheap Joe's lizard lick, and because it has a very long point and it holds lots of pigment. And by switching it back and forth like this, and punching and twisting, it leaves points on the leaves, and it really begins to look like trees. I always do foliage first when painting trees, because then you can put your branches in anywhere you want. I've also put the leaves in here, and this is receiving a little more sunlight, so I used some cadmium yellow to brighten the green a bit. With some cobalt blue hue and burnt sienna, I'm going to put the tree trunk in of this tree, and you see it doesn't have to be solid. Some of the leaves can be coming through in front of the tree trunk. One of the favorite things I like to do is cast a really impressive shadow across a portion of the painting to force the eye into the subject. So I've mixed up some opera and cobalt blue hue and added a bit of burnt sienna just to warm it up a bit so it's not terribly purple. I've added a few more details to the umbrellas and the shadows, and now with an 1/8 inch flat brush, I'm just going to put the little shutters details. That's just how it's done, very simply with a flat brush, so that you don't have to do real fine lines with a pointed brush. Just dab it a little bit.